I want to show you how that would work in a typical setup. This is the Welcome to the iPad course that we used with students this summer. You'll notice that the folders all have this little gray "Must Complete" check underneath them. That's because we set up completion rules so that the students had to complete items within these folders. If I look at the Expectations folder, you'll notice that most of the material in this folder also have a check underneath them with a statement. For example, must view this item, or must make a submission for the quiz. These options are set up within the folder under Options, Student Completion. This is what the completion rules look like for this folder. Notice that there are 4 items that all have a different requirement, and the checkbox is not checked that say they must be completed in order, so the students may do them in any order that they wish. I'm going to switch over to a different course to show you how you would set that up the first time with a folder. Here's a sample second period course. So my first step is to set up a folder and load that folder with all of the materials that I want the students to interact with. To set up completion rules for this folder, after I've loaded all my materials, I click on Options and then Student Completion. Inside the pop-up, clicking Add Requirement will allow me to select these materials and say what the student should do with them. Each of the material types will have different options for the students. So I'm going to click Add Requirement. I'm going to pick that page, Folder 1 Instructions, and say View Item. I'm going to add 2 more requirements and go find those other objects that are going to view items. So the link, and the file. Those are the next 2 in the stack. And I'm going to say View Item for the link and View Item for the file. I'm going to add a couple more options here. So I've got a discussion, test, quiz, assessment, and assignment. And you'll see when I add a discussion that I get a pop-up that says due dates for items will be removed. So a completion folder cannot hold a due date on a discussion or on a test, an assessment, or an assignment. You need to be aware of that if you're syncing your grades to PowerSchool so that you make the adjustment in PowerSchool appropriately to the correct date. For a discussion, I get a couple options. View item or post a comment or reply. I want the students to post a comment, so I'm going to select that. For the test quiz, I've got some other options. View, post a comment or reply, make a submission, or score at least. I like the score at least, so I'm going to pick score at least. And this is a 100-point test or quiz, so I can put in a number that I want. So I want to say that they need to score at least a 75 to move on. Add my other requirement. I'm going to put assessment in here, and I'm going to just say that they need to submit that assessment, and then the last one was the assignment, and I'm going to say make a submission. I'm going to go back to the score at least. The score at least means that the student cannot complete this set of requirements unless they score at least 75 out of 100 on this test and quiz. This gets a little dangerous. If I as a teacher have set up this test and quiz for only one attempt and the student scores below 75 on that one attempt and they're not allowed any other attempts, that means that they're locked at this test quiz and they may not be able to complete anything else in this folder. So you need to be careful when you're selecting this option for test quiz, assignment, or assessments. If you select score at least, you may be locking a student in depending on other settings that you have set for those assignments, tests, and quizzes in your system. This is especially important if you select this option at the top. Checking this box means that these requirements must be completed in sequential order. So we're back to our student here who takes this test and quiz and scores below the 75%. That means that they are locked here and cannot take the assessment or the assignment because they have not passed this requirement in the folder. Again, making sure that this test quiz has options for multiple attempt submissions will help prevent students from being locked in at this step. that is something you need to be aware of when you're setting up completion rules. If the requirements don't need to be completed in order, just leave that unchecked. Then the students can follow through. They can go to any of these in any order that they want. Once I click Save Changes, now I have my gray checks underneath these material types in this folder. Clicking the Student Progress button at the top of that folder will allow you to see what students have completed those materials and what percentage they're on. So right now I've got Han Solo in this class at 43% of this folder. If I click on Han Solo, I can see exactly what has been completed. So Han Solo has completed the discussion, the assessment, and the assignment, but has not done any of these other items.